truth of the matter is we got beat today, and the things that we have to correct, we will most certainly continue to work on.
What things specifically stand out to you?
Well, just the disappointment on third down. You know, we had a couple opportunities on defense to make some things happen, and we didn't get it done. And that's the truth of the matter. Offensively, I think getting in the situation we did, a couple times I thought Taylor pressed a little bit and tried to make a little bit more happen than he needed to. That last drive he had was really indicative of taking what was out there. And that's what, you know, we talked about before he went out there. I know Scotty and you know, the coaches were telling him, you know, Kenny, that, hey, let's just, we're not going to go into that hurry-up mode. We were going to work a regular offense, go through a regular sequence, just so Taylor could continue to get to work, and we weren't going to try and, you know, press a 2-minute thing. So we wanted to work on that stuff.
What was Buffalo doing that was against your defense that was working for them mostly today?
Well, they did a nice job protecting the quarterback. We didn't get enough pressure on him when we had to. And then, you know, it allowed for their receivers to work a little bit longer downfield.
How disheartening was it, that opening drive, the second half, the 17?
Well, that was very disheartening because, again, you know, if you can make a stop, you feel like you have a little bit of momentum. We didn't do that, and that was disappointing.
Right, you've got a lot of talent at defensive front, as everybody's talked about. You surprised that they couldn't get a little bit more done up front in that area?
Yeah, I think the thing that, again, things that we have to go back and look at is that we have a lot of talent, but we got to get them to play as a unit, and that's on us as coaches. We got to make sure that things that we're doing, things that we're creating for them are things that they can work and go out and function and be a unit together.
You added a number of new pieces to the secondary this offseason. Where do you feel like that group is at after this game?
Well, I think they're learning to communicate and work together. You know, a couple times we dropped a coverage and allowed a guy to get, you know, to be open, and something we can't allow to happen.
It seemed like with Josh Allen, you did like a good job at containing him or like, you know, preventing the outside rush, but when he got there, he still made the play anyway.
Right.
Just,
Well, that's part of the problem, and, you know, is first and foremost, you got to get to him. And we had times where we didn't get enough pressure on him, and the times we did, he got out of the pocket. He's able to step up or get free and prolong the play, and he has his eyes downfield. And now, you know, and you're asking a lot of your secondary at that point.
You talked a lot about maturity, or at least a little bit during the preseason. Is this something, when you look at this team now, is this what you were concerned with when you were seeing it?
That's one of the things I'm concerned with is again, we've got to mature together. We've got to become a team together. We've got to play as a unit and play as positions. You know, defensive line's got to work together. The unit pass rush and coverage got to work together, stuff like that. Those are the types of things, you know, when you got groups of young guys out there, new guys out there together. And that's something we have to continue to work on.
Or what are some of the things offensively that you guys can do to help Taylor Heineke? You said that you felt like he was pressing a little bit, and I think we kind of saw that after some of the drop passes. What are some of the things?
Yeah, but when he presses, you know, that's him. And you know, he's trying to make plays, trying to make things happen. You know, we had a couple calls where, you know, if he takes what's given to him, you know, we have a chance to get the first down, whereas he tries to force it inside for a first down and the ball gets knocked down. I mean, those are the little things that he's got to, you know, learn to be comfortable with. But again, I'm not going to fault anybody for trying and giving you everything he's got.
The shot that he took before the Logan Thomas touchdown there at the end, is that the kind of hit that you and Scott have kind of talked about?
Yeah,
him
that's
not
kind of the
taking?
thing you hope he doesn't have to take, you know, and again, but that's him, and that's, you know, that's the way he plays. And, you know, hopefully he'll learn, he'll understand that, you know, he's got to find a way to get down so he doesn't take that kind of a shot.
Nicholas, on defense, in light of these growing pains, were the expectations maybe too high preseason for this group?
Well, it depends on whose they are. You know what I'm saying? I mean, whether they're our expectations or outside expectations.
When Taylor does stay in the pocket, for instance, he throws past Cam Sims or Diami and they drop it and things
Yep.
of that nature. What are your thoughts there when he does
Well-
the things you've asked him to do and he just has can't get the ball?
And just guys got to do their job. I mean, that's what they're, you know, got the opportunity to do. And you know, Diami's a young guy, and he's going to learn. He'll learn to catch the ball before he tries to turn and run. You know, and same thing for Cam. You know, we put Cam in, take a little pressure off of Diami, especially when we're down in there. And you know, Cam's got to make that catch, and he knows it. And because he shows you what he can do when he does catch the ball.
Ron, back to Michael's question about expectations. You said
Yep.
on insiders. What were your expectations going into this? And
My expectations were for us to play better than we did, to be honest.
And as far as the opening drive, third game in a row, the opponent has scored.
Yep.
A touchdown on the opening drive. Do you see a common theme beyond just getting off those?
Third downs. That is the thing I see.
the positives that you'll take away, and Jen Davis, fourth down stop, you had 2 consecutive stops, anything else that?
Well, I like what we did, you know, we got a little momentum, got a little action going. We take a drive score, and then on the ensuing kickoff, you know, we launch one high, and the wind catches it, we get the ball back, and then we score again. You know, those are something you feel good about. You know, we did have some moments on defense, but most of them were individual. You know, as a unit, you want to be able to do and play better as a group.
But on the kickoff, you can't obviously drop it, it's gonna bounce right to Hopkins, but was the plan to try to make,
Was
put
a
it in
kiss,
play?
when you're kicking into the wind, you kick it as high as you can and cover as fast as you can, see what happens.
Ron, what did you see on the 2 interceptions from Taylor Heineke? I mean, I could ask about the fumble, but I think that was like a bang play, but on the interceptions, what were you guys going for?
Well, just, you know, he tried to force the ball. You know, if you go back and look at the play as it unfolds, he has some guys earlier. And one of the things is, you know, as he starts to move, he's got to make sure he sees the whole field before he throws, just trying to make a play.
Hey, on those third downs, are you okay, like you talked about with the foot, are you okay with what's being called there, or do you feel?
I have no issue with what's being called, okay? I really don't. I think the thing that we have to do, though, is again, we've got to put ourselves in better situations on first and second down. And then on third down, you know, we got to make sure we are executing, you know, and we'll go from there.
For the defensive line, what was working for them last season that may be missing this season?
I just think, you know, people know who they are. They get a little bit more attention right now. And it'll be interesting to see what happens next week.
Ron, you talk about missed assignments, maybe gaps and things like that. Do you see this as a byproduct of small things adding up, or are the problems maybe a little bit bigger than
No,
you?
I think it's the small things adding up. Guys pressing, trying to make plays. Just understand, you know, we are, again, as I've told you guys before, we're a gap control defense. You know, this, the gap control wasn't as big an issue. They, you know, it's not like they ran, you know, as much as people thought. You know, quarterbacks contributed a couple of big runs for them.
You went for the replay challenge on that right away
Yeah.
early in the game. Was that just because you thought, obviously, you could get it?
Well,
or something?
I was standing right next to it, and it just, you know, and my first impulse was I could swore I thought he had it. Okay, the unfortunate thing is, the thing I have to remember is when you're not the 1 or 2 game or the big night game, you're not going to have every angle for the referees to look at. And the angle I kept seeing up on the board was he wasn't close. It would have been nice to get a replay up in time for us to take a second look at it too, but you know they didn't show one, so I had to go with what I thought.
It looked like Dawson Knox on the touchdown pushed off Cole Holcomb there, and judging by your reaction, it seems like that's what you saw, and the William Jackson defensive pass interference, some people had an issue with that.
Yeah, and again, I can't speak to somebody else's opinion, okay, and again, it's just disappointing when it looks, you know, but again, it just, you know, I mean, a guy falls to the ground. You know, to me, a grown man doesn't do that on purpose. So we'll see.
Those will be plays I assume.
Absolutely,
send into the
most
league.
certainly there'll be plays that I'll send into the league and ask for an explanation as to why and, you know, how, and we'll see what happens and, you know.
What was your message to the team after this meeting?
Well, it's going to be about what we learned from what happened today and whether or not we get up. And that's what we're going to be judged on. That's the truth of the matter. You know, you play long enough, you're going to get beat this way. It just happens, you know. But what you do the next week, that's really the indicator of what your character is, your true test of who you're going to be. So we'll find out. And so I told them, you know, we got our butts kicked. That's the truth. And we'll find out what we're made out of and how we respond will dictate what kind of team we're going to be going down the stretch. Nice thing is it happened in the third week, you know, so it's a hard lesson, it's a tough lesson, but at the end of the day, if we respond and, you know, maybe there's a little more maturity than I'm thinking right now, and I hope we do.
Last one. I feel like the mistakes in the first 2 weeks were kind of leading up to this. Like, does it all add up together?
I think it all adds up together, because I promise you, when I put the tape on, and we're going to see some mistakes, we're going to sit there and say, man, we did that last week, we're not learning. We got to make sure we're learning. We got to make sure, and that's what my fear is when I get a chance to watch that tape, is I'm going to feel like we didn't learn anything the first 2 weeks.